In this video, we're going to demonstrate how to produce a booklet estimate. This is our project. We're going to produce an 8.5 by 11 booklet with a 4-page cover printing 4/4 and 40 pages of text printing 1/1 black. We're then going to fold, collate, and saddle stitch the booklet to produce the finished product. Okay, let's get started. To begin, click on the New Estimate button and select Booklet Estimate. This is the window that opens up, and we're now ready to start entering the specifications for our booklet. The first thing we want to do is to give our job a description. We do that in the All Groups area. We'll just call it Booklet Estimate. Notice that as I type, the description now becomes the name of the All Groups section. Of course, normally you'd want to enter company information about your customer at this point, but for the purposes of this review, we're going to leave that out. The next thing we'll do is click on the Group Defaults. On this screen, we'll enter our quantities, finish size, and difficulty factor for the booklet as an overall project. We can change all of this information on an individual basis as we work on the different group parts. Okay, to save time, I've gone ahead and entered my quantities of 5,000, 10,000, and 15,000 booklets, plus the finished size of 8.5 by 11 inches. Now I've allowed a 1/8 inch bleed for the finished size plus bleed, arriving at 8 5/8 by 11 1/4 for my finished size plus bleed. I've left the difficulty factor as good, and I've saved the estimate. Alright, now we are going to start doing the individual groups or parts of the booklet. First thing we'll want to tackle is the cover. So we'll click on Group 1 and move to the next screen. Alright, now we're ready to enter the description for Group 1, and we're going to call it 4-page cover. Notice that the quantities, finish size, bleed size have all been brought in from the group defaults. Make sure that the binding edge is set correctly. In our example, it will be 11 inches. And also that we are doing signatures for saddle stitching. We also want to make sure that the pages in group is correct. This is a 4-page cover, so we'll want to change this pages in group to 4. We'll select our ink. Cover is 4/4 process. No wash. We'll need some stock. We'll be printing this on some 15-point C2S. I'll just say 15-point, see what we come up with. Here we go. We have this stock here, C2S. We're going to select it. We now have our stock. When doing booklets, the View button is probably the most important tool you have. Right now, we are set up to do 4 pages in group, bind on the 11 inch, and it's saying that we're getting 9 of these 4-page signatures out of our sheet. But when we open it up, we see that what we're really getting are 9 8 5/8 by 11 1/2 sheets. And this, of course, is not what we're looking for. Click Cancel and come back here to the number out. Click on the down arrow. We'll try 8, which seems to be a more reasonable number. And as we open up, we see that we now have 4 4-page signatures coming out of our sheet, or, looking at it a different way, 8 pages on this size coming out of the sheet. We'll click OK. We'll leave our difficulty factor at good. And now it's simply a matter of picking our running selection. We want to run this job 4 up, and we will select our 4 up 28 by 44 color press for the job, so we can do that work in turn. Now please note that Franklin always defaults to the least expensive press. In this case, the 20.5 by 28, doing it 2-up work and turn. At times it will be necessary to override the decision of the Franklin estimator. So what I'm going to do is select this press and lock it in at each quantity. Always remember to lock your press in. If we wanted to, we could look at the detail button here to get information about how this is running. Click the OK, and we're back to the estimate screen for the cover. We've now completed the cover and we're ready to add a part. We can add parts by clicking here. We can duplicate a group or part by clicking here, and we can delete a group by clicking here. What we're going to do is add a group, and as you see now we have group 2. Now we're ready to do our group 2, which will be 2 16-page signatures. First thing we'll do is type in the description of our piece, 2 16-page signatures. Next, our ink specifications. 1/1 black. Next, we'll select our stock, a 60-pound white text. We're going to run this job on a 23 by 35. We're going to use a Husky offset. Click it and say OK. We'll need to enter our pages in group here of 32. And then again, checking our view button to make sure we got a good layout, which we do. We have 16-page signature there. And our running selection is 1-up on our 28 by 40. Let's lock in our presses and click OK. Since I've already selected my stock, I'm going to use the duplicate group button and change my description. I've changed the description to a single 8-page signature. We're going to change our pages in group from 32 to 8, and we get this message. This is why we lock our presses, so that when some parameter of the run changes, in this case the number out, we get this message to let us know that our presses will have to be checked again and a proper press selected and locked in. Alright, we want to check our view button, make sure we have a good layout, which we do. We have 2 8-page signatures printing. We check our running selections, we pick our proper press, a 2-up 28 by 40 work and turn, lock it in, and then click OK. We've entered our printing specifications. Now it's time for the finishing specifications. Because each part is unique and requires unique handling, we do the finishing under that separate part. The first one up is the 8-page signature. We're going to fold it, angle fold it on our 25 by 38 folder. It requires 2 folds. We'll change that to 2. Click OK. Then we move to our 16-page signatures. Again, folding on our large folder, our 25 by 38. This will require 3 folds. Click OK. And finally, our 4-page cover. Using the same folder, the 25 by 38, but this time a parallel fold only. We added 1 fold and click OK. Now it is time to finish out our booklet, and that'll be the gathering and stitching and trimming to final size. We're going to do that on our machine binder. Here it is, our high-end booklet saddle binder. We click Add. Franklin already knows how many signatures. We don't have to make any decisions. All we have to do is click OK. And for all intents and purposes, our booklet estimate is now finished. A few important points to remember when doing a booklet estimate. Your group defaults. Enter your description and your quantities and size. On the individual parts, always use the View button. And remember to put the proper number of pages in group. Finish each unique section separately. And finally, anything that applies to the entire project, do in the group default section.